Silence and solitude. Lillie Tyson Head needs a bit of both right now. As she reflects on the trauma of her family's past, while leaning on faith in the future.
Things have changed. Things have gotten better, but still needs to get a whole lot better.
All week, celebrations across the country hitting a fever pitch as the new COVID-19 vaccine begins to arrive. This long-awaited moment providing hope for so many amidst the pandemic. A study by the Kaiser Family Foundation found 71% of Americans say they definitely or probably will get the COVID-19 vaccine. But Black Americans are far more hesitant. 35% say they probably or definitely will not get the vaccine.
So I want to know how much of the people who are doing the trials of the vaccine are African American.
I'm still on the fence about the actual vaccine. In the African American community, we never really received anything that's going to be beneficial for us in the beginning.
That distrust is well earned. Lillie's father was an unwitting player in one of the darkest chapters of our nation's history.
My father was Freddie Lee Tyson. My father is our hero.
A sharecropper in Alabama in 1932, Freddie Lee Tyson was one of 623 black men recruited into a medical study. We now know it as the infamous syphilis study at Tuskegee. Freddie thought it was a program to provide free health care. He had no idea that the doctor's only interest was to study the infection he had been born with.
They did not tell them they had syphilis, and the only thing they told them they had bad blood, and they were treating the bad blood. But they were not. They were lying to the people.
The study was run by the U.S. Public Health Service, white doctors hoping to chart the natural progression of syphilis in black men.
What did your father think he was participating in?
I would say that they were looking to better their health and to better their conditions. He did not know that he was in a study. He did not know.
The government went to extremes to keep it that way. Even when penicillin became a safe and reliable cure, the study doctors actively prevented the men from getting it, circulating secret lists asking health providers not to treat them. When some of the men were drafted into World War II, the researchers had them rejected from the Army, so their syphilis would not be treated.
Talk to me about the misinformation surrounding the study.
Some people, believe it or not, still think the men were injected with the virus. They were not.
The truth about the study didn't surface until 4 decades later in 1972, when a whistleblower outed the experiment.
When the CDC first called him, he was quite upset. He was angry, and I also saw some shame.
Shame? Say more.
Shame because he had been deceived. Now you have to understand, my father was a proud man, and he was honest.
And our government treated him like a lab animal.
Right. These men deserved better. Their dignity was taken away from them. The basic human needs of a person was stripped of them.
The syphilis study reinforced a painful reminder of the racism stitched in the very fabric of the medical system.
As far as the mistrust, I think it comes from the way that we have been treated over 400 years. The disparities, the criminal injustices, the social injustices, the economic injustices, the educational injustices.
Lillie's daughter, Carmen Head Thornton, went into health care to change the system.
This river of mistrust with healthcare workers being on one side and those who are needing care and needing vaccines on the other. We need more people on the healthcare worker side.
That river of mistrust is at the very heart of the mission at Meharry Clinic in Nashville, Tennessee.
When we recognized that the pandemic was devastating people of color, we just felt compelled as an organization that we had to be involved and do something.
Dr. James Hildreth is the president of Meharry Medical College, founded in 1876, the first medical school for African Americans in the South.
The impact that we've had on the health of minority populations in this country is very significant.
Right now, the college and its clinic are moving to center stage in the battle against COVID-19. Meharry is working with Novavax on phase 3 of its new vaccine trial. The challenge, recruiting Black, Latinx, and other minority groups to participate.
Good morning.
Their secret weapon, the doctors themselves. Dr. Vladimir Berto and Dr. Roxbury are running the COVID investigation here.
What do you know about the vaccine?
little to nothing.
It is very safe, and there will be no cost to you or to your insurance.
One of the big concerns about the COVID vaccine centers around how fast it was developed, taking only months instead of years. Experts say the shortcuts were not in the science, instead speeding up approvals and distribution.
I'm truly excited about it, and I'm in awe of what has happened, but there are great reasons for why it's happened so fast.
Dr. Hildreth says in order to rally support in communities of color, it's also important to spotlight the medical professionals behind them.
Messages are fine. You can have wonderful messages, but if the messenger is not trusted, it's not going to be very effective.
One of the trusted messengers, Reverend Liz Walker.
How can you be so certain that taking this vaccine is the right choice for you?
From what I've seen of COVID-19, the greater risk is to get sick. So for me, there's no hesitation.
Walker is an icon in Boston.
And I'm Liz Walker. I just joined this team, and I'm so glad to be here.
She was the first black woman to anchor the evening news in the city.
Thank you all for being here.
Walker is now the senior pastor at Roxbury Presbyterian Church, a neighborhood she likens to the biblical story of the Good Samaritan.
I call the neighborhood the Jericho Road because you never know who's going to stop by or who's in need right outside our front door. So we are a community church. Social justice is our foundation.
In order to get the good word to her flock, Reverend Walker threw up a Hail Mary, emailing Dr. Anthony Fauci, not expecting the nation's leading infectious disease doctor to actually respond. But he did.
We are so just blessed to have you, Dr. Fauci.
You had Dr. Fauci come to your church via Zoom.
You know, Faith, this was a God thing. I had no idea that he would, but I knew I wanted to get as much information as I could to my congregation and the community at large.
Walker realizes in some cases she's fighting an uphill battle with her congregation.
I was frankly surprised at how many people were resistant. They talk about going to the doctor and having the doctor ignore them, or going to the doctor and having the doctor dismiss their complaints. The problem's not with us. It's not my community that's the trouble. The problem is with the system. And the thing about the vaccine that I want my congregation to know, this is an act of love. It's an act of survival, very much so, but it's also an act of love.
Love and faith, two guiding principles so many can relate to, like Lillie Tyson Head, who believes her father's story should not sow doubt, it should build faith.
As they say, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it.
Based on your family's history, would you take the vaccine?
Without any hesitation. As soon as the vaccine is available for me, I'm taking it. And all of my siblings that are still living all say they will take the vaccine.
There's real reason why you and your family might be suspicious of this kind of program, but no hesitation at all.
No, we have to step forward and not be afraid to make our lives better.
Freddie Lee Tyson died in 1988. None of the doctors were ever held accountable in court.
We have to be in a place where we move past rage, because rage and anger clouds our capacity to be strategic, to really be engaged in making a difference that destroys and deconstructs structural racism.
These women fueled not by rage, but by purpose. Their foundation, Voices for Our Father's Legacy, providing scholarships and financial support for other descendants, changing the story from victim to victor, from tragedy to triumph.
I'd imagine Deacon Freddie Lee Tyson's awfully proud of you.
Well, I hope he approves of how I'm doing. I pray every day that my voice is not my voice, but the voice of those men, because they were forgotten and they're unsung heroes. And at this time, during this season, I think it's important that we lend their voices to the conversation of today.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.